Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the Chicago Bears' impressive 35-6 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. Can you believe it? The Bears have now won 3 games in a row and sit at 4-2 for the season. Their 2 losses were close calls, each by just 1 score against the Texans and the Colts. Honestly, they could easily be sitting at 6-0 right now. What's got me so excited about the Bears is how much they've improved since the start of the season. They're really finding their groove. The running game has come alive. Caleb has been sharp and confident, and the offensive line is holding strong. Over the last few games, they've been dominating, forcing turnovers and making big plays. Everything is clicking. Caleb only had to throw the ball 29 times because the Bears rushed it the same amount. That's a winning strategy moving forward. In this game, Caleb went 23 for 29, throwing for 4 touchdowns and just 1 interception. He did take 3 sacks, which isn't great, but that interception was really the only hiccup. He underthrew DJ Moore, who had a clear shot at a big play. But overall, Caleb played really well. He even added 56 rushing yards, making smart moves when he saw the defense spread out. KT had an outstanding game too, catching 5 passes for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Fun fact, he even served as the long snapper. It seems like the starter might have gotten hurt, but he did a great job of keeping everything on target. Keene caught 5 passes for 41 yards and also had 2 touchdown catches. This might have been his best game of the season, especially since he's been dealing with injuries. If he keeps being a reliable target, that's going to help Caleb a lot. Now, about Dunny, he had 2 catches for 40 yards. Swift added 4 catches for 28 yards. And I loved the creative play calling by Shane Waldron. He set up some exciting plays, like a flea flicker that turned into a screen pass. It was clever and kept the defense guessing. I know some Bears fans have had their doubts about Waldron, but he really shone in this game. The Jaguars' defense isn't the strongest, but scoring 35 points is always a win in my book. The Jags could only manage 16 points, plagued by drops and fumbles, which we'll get into later. DJ Moore had a quieter game with just 4 catches for 20 yards. He didn't find the end zone, but with the ground game performing so well, they didn't need him to step up. Speaking of the running game, they averaged 5.2 yards per carry. Swift was fantastic, rushing for 91 yards on 17 carries and catching passes to break 100 total yards. He's really turned things around after a slow start to the season. Let's not forget about the defense. They were amazing again. They held Trevor Lawrence to 234 yards passing with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. One of the Bears' defensive backs made a key pick, and the Jags struggled with that frown count, totaling just 68 yards. In football, a strong rushing game usually leads to victory, and that was definitely the case here. When you dominate in the trenches, you usually come out on top, and that's exactly what happened in this game. If you can't run the football, you'd better be on fire in the passing game, and the Jaguars just weren't. The only player who gave the Bears some trouble was Evan Ingram, who caught 10 passes for 102 yards. Brian Thomas Jr. had 3 catches for 27 yards. Gabe Davis managed 5 catches for 45 yards. And Christian Kirk added 3 for 39 yards. But overall, the Jags' passing attack didn't pose much of a threat, especially with all the dropped passes. The Jaguars did manage to move the ball at times, but they couldn't capitalize on those opportunities, which made it tough for them. In terms of turnovers, they had that interception across the middle, and Ingram lost a fumble after a solid hit. Credit to TJ Edwards for knocking it out. There was also another forced fumble on special teams, but unfortunately, the Jaguars recovered that one. Looking at the Bears' defense, they really put pressure on Trevor Lawrence and made things difficult for him. Their secondary was impressive, sticking close to receivers and making plays. This was a must-win game for the Bears, especially playing in London, which felt like a home game for them. They wanted to show the European fans what they could do, and they certainly delivered a strong performance. The Jaguars did score some early points, but after that, it was all Bears. The Jags had just won their first game of the season against the Colts, who were missing several key players. I never felt they were a match for this Bears team, especially with the momentum the Bears had after winning 2 straight games against the Rams and Panthers. After this victory, the Bears will have a bye week before facing the Commanders and the Cardinals in back-to-back road games. Their schedule looks pretty manageable, especially compared to last year's tougher matchups. With a 4-2 record, they're in a solid position as they come off the bye. It's important for the Bears to rack up wins now because the second half of their schedule gets tougher. They've had great performances recently, particularly on defense, but now we're starting to see the offense shine too. They scored 24 points against the Titans, 36 against the Panthers, and now 35 against the Jaguars. If they keep running the ball effectively and converting on third downs, they can put defenses on their heels. I really like how Shane Waldron is calling plays. The players deserve credit too, especially Caleb, who had one of his best games this year. He didn't have to do too much, just hand off the ball and make key throws. He looked comfortable, and that's a winning formula for the Bears. If they maintain this momentum against the upcoming mid-tier defenses, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bears improve to 6-2 or even 7-2. They're eyeing a playoff spot, and while the division will be tough, the Bears are determined to compete for it.